Yes, the Transnational Corporation Plc has posted 32.4 billion gross domestic product for the first quarter of this year. Well, this reflects an improvement of 31 billion naira despite facing economic and gas challenges that affected the power business generation capacity. Well, this was announced yesterday during its investors and analysts conference call, where Transcorp full year 2022 and first quarter 2023 financial results were discussed and the outlook for the rest of the year. Last year, the group sustained its growth trajectory and ended the year with gross earnings of 134.7 billion naira, a 21% increase from 111.2 billion naira recorded in 2021. This growth was largely driven by the power and hospitality business. The president and group chief executive officer of Transcorp PLC, Dr. Wen Omajafo, joins me to talk more about this and, of course, the latest achievements of the group. Thank you so much. It's good to have you on the program. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Always a pleasure to connect with you, and thank you for having me today.
Yes, let's start this conversation around this impressive performance I just talked about, which has recorded revenue and gross growth in 2022 and Q1 of 2023. Can you highlight key achievements across your portfolio? We see that this is an interesting performance. Tell us more.
So thank you. Indeed, it's an interesting performance, one that we are incredibly proud of, because it wasn't easy to achieve it, because as you know, it's been quite a challenging operating environment. But notwithstanding that, focusing on our core values of the 3 E's, excellence, enterprise, and execution, we leverage our Afro-capitalism philosophy to drive our investing sectors. Our hospitality business has shown a very remarkable recovery following the COVID-19 pandemic. And we're very happy to say that indeed the performance of our hospitality business today is even better than what we had pre-COVID era. Our hospitality business had 34 billion naira in revenue for 2022. We have very strong occupancy, which is driven off our service excellence and our continued push to innovate and delight all our stakeholders. In power, we have continued to lead as a gas-fired power plant and work on ensuring that our available capacity is steady and we're able to generate and maximize the efficiency whilst keeping a very, very good eye on our costs. And because, of course, you have to do that, otherwise you find that your top line is very quickly eroded. But in doing this, we ensure that value is not compromised in any way, shape, or form, and that we continue to build towards the future. And still on that, as it relates to building towards the future, one of the things that we deployed and we continue to deploy as a group is a very strong focus on our employee growth and development. We're very happy. One of the key achievements that we've made as a group is the recovery of AFAM GT20, which has been out of generation for the past 15 years prior to Transcorp's investment in that asset. And we've brought it back. It's 138 megawatts. But what is really interesting that you should be keen to note is that we did this locally. We brought in expatriate support, only 20%. The remaining 80% came from our own local Nigerian effort here, showing our investment in our people as well as the community within which we operate. Thank you.
Great start to this conversation, but let's now highlight across portfolios now, basically driven by the power and hospitality business. Tell us more around this, because the figures is looking so good. 134.7 billion. It's a 21% increase from 111.2 billion naira recorded in 2021.
Okay. So in our power business, let me start with the power business.
Okay.
We have increased our available capacity, and that in turn increased our generating capacity. In our power plants in Ugeli, we brought back some of our turbines, and that added about 200 plus megawatts to the power we had generated before. In AFAM, we also increased our available capacity by 100 megawatts, but because that came in the Q4, you saw the average of it rather than affecting the figures throughout the year. But what is great is that for 2023, we have all of this, the 600 megawatts that we have in Transcorp Power Ugeli today, and the 188 megawatts that we have in TransAfam Power is ready to generate. Yes, there are some challenges with gas and evacuation, but working with the government and other key stakeholders, all of those are being maintained. And when it comes to our maintenance and the operations of our plants, We're doing this very, very efficiently. All our contracts, making sure that we are taking positions that will ensure that our risk positions are clearly managed and carefully managed, driving very clear, tight contracts that would define and derive value for everybody, both our OEM and ourselves. And of course, whenever any of these contracts that we go into, we're building a training aspect into it. Because if you're following the news, there have been some concerns about the skills in the power sector. But Transcorp, we are ahead of this because we've realized it early and we've invested in training our staff. Now, let's go to our hospitality business. Our hospitality business continues to dazzle. Transcorp Hilton Abuja remains the darling of the nation and continues to redefine what service means in hospitality. There are a number of things that we have deployed in our hospitality business. Most recently, we have just launched a wellness center, which is a good complement to the services that we already provide. So now at the Transcorp Hilton, working with a partner, we have a wellness center where you can get a variety of treatments. And this is adding to the value that we give to our clients that come and stay with us, ensuring they're able to have that home away from home experience. We drove our occupancy in the previous year. Occupancy ended with a record 79% when the average industry in the country was about 71%.
Well, I think
it's Africa night, the other night Mediterranean night, and we just keep on driving those in the Buka restaurants. And we gave our dear Buka restaurant a facelift while still maintaining the original look. We gave it a more cosmopolitan look and a cosmopolitan feel. Of course, we continue to focus on our staff and they continue to drive and do what they do with a smile.
Interesting. Now, this performance has also helped to increase the asset base and, of course, shareholders' funds. That's always interesting for the shareholders. And consequently, a 150% growth and dividend payments. Now, how are the shareholders reacting to this?
They are delighted, as you would imagine. We just finished our AGM today, and this was commented upon. You know, our dividend has increased by 500% over the last few years. And it's something that the shareholders have received with great excitement because this is a fulfillment of the promise that we've made. As the company improves its performance, we shall also give returns back to the shareholders. Speaking specifically on the retained earnings, our shareholders today also expressed their delight on this because it shows that if you have a strong asset base and you're also growing your retained earnings, it shows that you're looking at a company that is looking towards the future and not just distributing profit totally without thinking of growth and how they will continue to sustain the performance that they are delivering today. So indeed, our shareholders, they're happy. They've reached out, they've sent their commendation, and they've also given some feedback on how we can do even better to continue to grow our dearly beloved company, Transcorp.
Interesting. Let's look at the outlook now for the company and of course, the economy. Wider look for the rest of the year. Of course, we expect a transition by May 29. Earlier, I was reporting the president-elect arriving the Defense House. So a lot is happening. What are your expectations around the economy and, of course, for the rest of the year?
So power would continue to be the bedrock of the AFAM 3 fast power, which is expected to come in towards the end of the year to bring an additional 240 megawatts, which will take us to over 1,000 megawatts. And going by our previous track record of efficiently generating about 85% of our available capacity, what it means is that we should be able to bring in 850 megawatts of power to the national grid, which is very, very important because this means it's more power for businesses to be able to catalyze businesses and create growth, the GDP of the country. In our hospitality business, we will continue to push our assets, optimize it, continue to delight our stakeholders. Now, for this year, we are working on our event center. Abuja has needed something like this, a multi-purpose event center that is attached to a 5-star outstanding hotel like the Transcorp Hilton Abuja. And what does this mean? Like you said, we have a change coming in. There'll be a lot more interest, as is know, whenever there's a change, people are interested. What's going on? What's going to happen? So we expect again, as the world continues to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic, we see the changes that are happening in the world, that there will be a lot more interest in Africa, in Nigeria, because Nigeria continues to be the hub, and we will be ready to drive it. Overall, we're also going to look at pushing further our integrated gas to power strategy. And that brings in our OPL 281. We are pursuing our exploration program right now, and we're going to continue this year, continue to drive that forward as a way to now integrate properly our oil and gas assets and our power asset. And of course, at the other end, you have our hospitality assets as well. And we are looking at in future, we also have some more hotel brands that we own ourselves as Transcorp, in addition to the strides we are making through our technology platform, Aura by Transcorp Hotels. But overall, we're looking, yes, indeed, we've seen the numbers, we've seen the inflation costs, but look, these are things that are always there. And what resilient people do is to look at the environment, adjust your business plan, adjust your strategy, and move on sustainably. So we are very optimistic about 2023 and even beyond. Thank you.
I'm interested in that gas aspect, and I would like a word from you with regards to our efforts of taking advantage of our gas reserves. I just want your personal views around this. Do you think we are doing enough to the decade of gas is here, and we are yet to get as much as expected? What more can be done? What are the enablers you need from government?
So there's a lot that's going on. In fact, last week there was the Nigeria International Energy Summit, and gas was discussed quite strongly. I think there's a lot going on. We've seen with the Russian-Ukraine crisis the importance of gas, and a lot of countries are reinvesting in their gas sector. And I think Nigeria is also in there. We're doing same. Our power sector today, 81% of the power in Nigeria comes from gas, and power is a catalyst of development. Right? We've seen as well that our oil and gas, following the oil theft of the previous year, we've seen a recovery. Yes, in March we had lower production, but in February it was quite high. And we believe that with the attention that it is getting, we would have some more improvements. There are some infrastructure issues that should be addressed because we have some pipelines that are kind of old now and would need some maintenance. But from our work in Transcorp Power, we do know where we engage with critical stakeholders at the NNPC, NGIC, and other gas players, Chevron and the like. We know that there's work going on, and they are working with the people, working with companies that are in this space to ensure that we are able to do more in our gas space from the perspective of gas production, gas protection, and the quality of gas that's in there. So yes, it's a decade of gas, and
well, Owen Omajiafo there, President and Group Chief Executive Officer of Transcorp Group. Owen, if you can hear me, thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for that brilliant submission there with regards to gas and all our conversation there. I must thank you so much for your contribution to the program today. We really appreciate this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, do enjoy the rest of your day.